And now the key player to look at here is Enzo Fernandez. He is going to make a run from out to in, and he is going to pin himself against Lucas Vazquez. There's the run. Vazquez follows him. Sterling with a bunch of space in behind. The Enzo Maresca era at Chelsea has begun, and everyone's big question is this going to work, or is this going to be just as big of a disaster as the last 2 seasons have been? Welcome to Campfire Football. I'm Sebastian North. Let's examine Maresca ball. So look, I'm a Chelsea fan, and it has been a wretched 2 years. There's been so little positive football. Almost really only towards the end of last season did we see them start to pick up. But that was under Pochettino, and now he's left. So Enzo Maresca comes in, fresh start, a boatload of new players coming in. And so we want to see what Enzo Maresca is going to do with this Chelsea team to make them competitive, because they need to have a revival. We're going to go over bad possessions, times they did a very good job of sort of building out a play and then attacking, and then at the end we'll touch on some of the big defensive concerns. Some have been around for quite a while. So the first thing we're going to do is take a quick look at the tactical board, and then we'll show you exactly how that plays out on the pitch. So basically the initial setup is like a 4-3-3. You've got 4 defenders, 1 holding midfielder, 2 attacking mids, and then 3 forwards. Now what is clear about Maresca's system is he wants to have 2 holding midfielders in the build out and basically 4 central midfielders creating a sort of box. So in order for this to happen, he is going to have the right or the left back come into midfield, something we've become very much accustomed lately. And in a lot of preseason, it was Malagusto jumping in. And this creates a 3-2-2-3, or a 3-box-3. Now what this does is it provides the center backs 2 extra options to pass the ball out. If the ball goes out to the left center back, then it is the attacking midfielder who sort of comes into these half spaces to try and receive it and create a 2v1 against the opponent fullback. We're also going to see other movements where the attacking midfielders are making runs in behind, trying to drag defenders with them, but overall, this is the shape. All right, let's check out Maresca ball in its glory. Here we go. Chelsea, you can already see they had the kickoff here, so the shape is already essentially set. 3 center backs, 2 holding midfielders, 2 attacking midfielders, the wingers, and the center forward. Now, in this case against Real Madrid, Malagusto was deployed as the left back, and so he would come into the midfield along with Romeo Lavia. So one of the things that's important to know is that if the personnel changes, so might the idea. Once again, you have the exact same shape. Back 3, 2 holding mids, attacking mids here are Enzo Fernandez and Keenan Dewsbury Hall. But here, you had Christopher Nkunku as the center forward and Malagusto, once again, left back. But you notice Malagusto is not coming into the midfield. That would be redundant. You already have Caicedo and Lavia doing that. So Gusto would push up and become the left winger. Now, as we let this develop a little bit, you'll see ball comes in here to Colwill, and right away they have a 3-on-2 right here because Keenan Dewsbury Hall is dropping in. So the ball can come into Caicedo, little 1-2 around the corner, he's able to get forward, and Malagusto, instead of being a bombing forward left back, he's already up in this position, which does keep the opponents honest. All right, let's take a look at the botched bad possessions, and there were a few of these in this preseason that were very alarming if you're a Chelsea fan. Here's the first one. As you can see, once again, you got the 2 holding midfielders, but they are static. They're standing and just watching the ball, so they're easy to pick up. This ball comes into Malagusto, he drops it back to Jorgensen, looks up. Now what's the next one? Well, Romeo Lavia starts to check in, but it's too obvious. He's followed, and his one-touch pass here is just not good. It puts Colwill in a world of trouble that he's able to just barely get out of. Another example here, Jorgensen has the ball, goes out to Colwill, and he's immediately closed down, has no idea really where to go, and so he dumps it into the midfield, and they turn it over. So the next example here was against Celtic. Ball comes over the top, so Chelsea retrieve it. They are now in a transition moment. The ball goes back from Tosin to Sanchez. He is immediately pressured, so he has to look up and find somebody. It comes into Badiashile, and without really looking up or checking, he just hits a one-touch pass that is easily cut out, and Celtic would go ahead and score. Here is another one against Man City. The first 2 minutes of the match, they are trying to figure their way out. This ball from Caicedo is not a good one. This is not the ball you really want to play. It's insanely risky, and any mistake is going to be a problem. Tosin doesn't get it off his foot quick enough. It gets cut out, and Erling Haaland would draw a penalty. Once again, Chelsea, they're in control of the ball here, and Man City's press is very good. They're matching up with everybody, so it's going to take good, crisp passing to get out. One mistake will cost everything, and here Caicedo's ball is poor. Haaland easily takes it and smashes it in. Chelsea actually able to get themselves into midfield. Here you see Keenan Dewsbury-Hall making that run to the wide area as the 10 looks up, connects to Raheem Sterling, but then Malo Gusto, who had come into the midfield, he is now starting to run forward, and the ball does not get to him. Sterling makes a mistake, and now you have a transition moment. So here you got Caicedo too far forward, and Man City are able to go and attack. The ball goes to Oscar Bob, who takes Levi Colwill to the cleaners. And one last example here. This was a minute after. Malo Gusto would get the ball, play a bad pass, Man City would take over, and very quickly were able to score on transition. Haaland goes ahead and bags his hat trick. And that is glaring. I mean, these are the kinds of mistakes that you cannot be making in the Premier League, just donating goals to teams, especially a team like Man City, who, by the way, Chelsea play in their first match this upcoming weekend. Now, okay, it's not all bad. Chelsea have some very good possessions, and I do think there's some interesting themes to pick up on in what Enzo Maresca is doing. So let's go ahead and take a look at a series of clips that involve Enzo Fernandez and the way Chelsea want to move people around and get in behind. So here a ball comes into Christopher Nkunku. He looks up, goes out wide to Reece James, in it goes to Lavia, and now the key player to look at here is Enzo Fernandez. He is going to make a run from out to in, and he is going to pin himself against Lucas Vazquez, the Real Madrid right back, and make himself marked, essentially. What this does is it leaves a huge space behind for Raheem Sterling. There's the run, Vazquez follows him, Sterling with a bunch of space in behind. Here's another example. Ball comes in from Reece James and Nkunku. He takes a look up, out to Lavia. You can already see Enzo Fernandez making this movement in. He's being tracked. Once again, massive space behind, out it goes. This play actually almost resulted in a goal. The ball got dropped back to Malo Gusto from Sterling. He makes a run behind. The ball is absolutely brilliant. The cross is pretty good, but it's not right at Nkunku's feet. It's beyond him, and Chelsea did not score that opportunity. And here's another example, the same exact thing. Reece James takes a look up, plays the ball into Nkunku. Now, Enzo Fernandez, again, is going to make this exact same run. Look, he's actually further wide than Sterling at this point. And Nkunku takes a look up. There's the run beginning. Lucas Vazquez follows him, and over it goes. But you have to track runners. And if Enzo Fernandez is making that kind of run in behind, he can't just be left alone. So that is an interchange that could work. Here's another one, different match, different personnel. The ball goes in from Reece James to Enzo Fernandez. This time he drops it to James. And you have Keenan Dewsbury-Hall, who is the attacking midfielder on this side. He has gotten himself with Rico Lewis. And he's not going to make a big run. He's just going to start. And Rico Lewis kind of has to take a step. But you can see the ball is already being released. All right, so that is one of the patterns of play that we will see from them this season. But one of the issues was, can they get out of this scenario here without turning the ball over? Well, I do think it requires players checking in. And what you're going to see here is Mark Guiu makes a big run in. He's going to receive the ball, and without having to try and turn, he just drops it into Lavia, and he turns and goes, and Lavia is going to be able to find him again. Guiu drops the ball again into Enzo Fernandez. He looks up. Malo Gusto's already running forward. So a couple little simple up, back, and through, and Chelsea are able to carve Real Madrid apart very, very quickly. So here's another interesting example from the same match. Malo Gusto was the left back. Here he is as one of the pivots in the midfield. He's going to check into the ball, which drags a defender with him, and then Enzo Fernandez can sort of spread into that half space and receive. Understands he's got pressure on his back. He drops it into Badiashile, who now is able to look up and find Gusto, because when you get a team looking back and forth, that's how you get them to lose their marks. Gusto turns, and he's able to switch the play out to Reece James. Now, one thing to keep an eye on here is Raheem Sterling. He is the one that's more inside, and Enzo is further out. So if they want to play that big ball, Sterling will make the run in, and Enzo will have space behind. But if the runner is not tracked, as I said, you can just go ahead and play them. And here Reece James is going to go ahead and find Sterling. And Sterling and Guiu and Nkunku almost combined to score. That was a really good example. Here's another one. Lavia into Jorgensen, the goalkeeper. It goes out to Badiashile. He has time to look up. Once again, you can see the shape. And because they're not being closely marked, you can play right into their feet and go through them out to the other side. Lavia now, tons of room. Real Madrid are starting to spread themselves apart because Chelsea have played through them quite a few times in just the first few minutes of this half. In it goes to Nkunku. And once again, you have Enzo Fernandez making this run in. And this time it's Sterling out on the side. And look at the way they just create the space. Sterling was wide open. If Guiu gets this ball and actually looks up and rolls it into Sterling's path, he creates a chance for Sterling. Instead, Guiu went ahead and shot it. Here's yet another example of this against Man City. Out it goes to Colwill. Keenan Dewsbury-Hall checks into that inside channel, receives, is able to play the ball up to Raheem Sterling, and now they can turn. Now, this is good play by Sterling because Chelsea switching it here would be their best way to attack. And that's exactly what they do. Into Nkunku. One touch ball by Lavia. This is is absolutely terrific, and it gets Madueke in. So those are some of the bright spots in attack, and hopefully from a Chelsea perspective, we will see a lot of those patterns emerge and that they will work. The thing is that you cannot just do these same things all season and expect teams don't learn from them. So it'll be interesting to see how Enzo Maresca evolves that side of the attack. One of the big issues he's got to fix, though, is the defense. Now, Chelsea for the last couple seasons have been like a sieve. They give up goals way too easy, and most of the time it is a problem of not enough pressure on the ball in the midfield and not really tracking runners. Against Real Madrid, they got picked apart a few times, and it was very interesting to see how Nani Madueke, trying to keep up with Fran Garcia, the left back, who was marauding forward, was really a challenge. You do not want your right winger this deep, but also you don't want players like Vinny Jr. having this much time on the ball, able to just pick it up, no one gets in his face, Garcia makes the run, and he's in behind. Here's another example. Rudiger comes forward. You can see Fran Garcia, he's already off him. Garcia gets it, drops it back, and he's already off to the races. Madueke has no idea what's about to happen. Through it goes. Here we go again. You can see Nani Madueke, he's not really sure who he should be picking up. He's got Rodrigo off his shoulder, but Fran Garcia's been bombing forward. Reece James is tucked way too far in. This back line is all scrunched together, and there is no pressure on Denis Ceballos. He's just going to look forward and play the ball in behind to Rodrigo. And one more example of this exact same thing. Ball comes in here, Fran Garcia looks up, and he's got loads of time. No one from Chelsea seemed to want to pressure the ball. And so what does this mean? Well, this means that Vinny Jr. can just time his run well, and in he goes, and it's behind the back line. To see them having this problem in preseason is probably predictable, but Enzo Maresca has got to fix this quickly. Now, it's not just the wide areas that are a problem, where you have to rely on maybe your wingers to drop back and help. It's also penetrating runs that go behind your defenders. So here you can see Rodrigo's going to pick up the ball. He's going to look up. Brahim Diaz is making the run. Chelsea's back line is kind of fragmented. There's a huge gap, and Brahim Diaz is able to get the through ball. He gets in behind, and Real Madrid would score here from the scruffiest of goals, and then they would score another from a very similar situation. Here you see Vinny Jr. gets the ball. Brahim Diaz is already making that run. He's pointed. He's in between the two defenders. There's not enough pressure from Reece James on Vinicius Jr., so he just plays a really nice ball with the outside of his foot. Brahim Diaz here does well to get around the goalkeeper and place it on target, but Badiashile, come on, do something. Now we fast forward to this past weekend, Inter Milan playing against Chelsea at Stamford Bridge, and just look how easy this is to get through the entire team. Just one center back runs in, 4 players can't deal with him, an attacking midfielder running off the side, no one goes and pressures the ball, no one puts a body in on anybody. Lilian Thuram is able to run off the back of Colwill, and he just smashes the ball into the top corner. And as I said, pressure on the ball is a problem. Well, have a look at Vinny Jr. and Rodrigo here, basically just having good old-fashioned Brazilian fun. Dunk, 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 dunk. Let's just keep the ball. Maresca, it's going to be tough for him because he's got to get this team off and running, and their first match is against Manchester City. Overall, it's going to be fascinating. I think a lot of people are convinced that Maresca is going to struggle. Honestly, from a Chelsea fan perspective, I don't think it could be any worse than the last 2 years. Well, I don't know. I don't think so, but I hope not. The Premier League is back. Let's see what Maresca ball is like. Thanks for stopping by. I'm Sebastian North. This is Campfire Football. Take it easy.